Okay. Hi. Okay, so I have my friend Becky with me. You guys know her previous videos. We went to see The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, and I am gonna say Smaug because I did get some, comments that were like saying it wrong, and I know I am, but I read it wrong when I was younger, so I read it as Smaug, and then now it's Smaug. I will pronounce it right this time. I do promise, but if I slip up, I am so sorry. So we went to go see The Hobbit, and we saw it the midnight screening, and this is just going to be a quick spoiler-free review. If you want spoiler review, it will be at the end of this video or in a separate video, so yeah, link to that will be below.
I love the barrel scene. The barrel scene is really great. It makes you feel, with the 3D, it makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster. And then Legolas with the dwarves is really great. It's really funny. And it's pretty awesome. Really actiony. It's probably the best scene in the movie.
I did like the barrel scene. And I thought when I saw it, a lot of people actually, other than me, when they saw the actual trailer, thought, oh, the barrel scene's not gonna, it's gonna be funny, but it's not gonna be like the best scene or anything. It's probably going to be a silly scene. And it did have its silly moments, which I think actually enhanced the scene. And it did feel like a ride, and I think everybody has said it felt like a ride, so...
Your sister said that she was half falling asleep and that she was scared she was going to get wet.
Yeah. Another thing I liked was the actual interaction and the differences. You got to see what the elves of Mirkwood are like in comparison to the elves over at Rivendell. And the elves at Mirkwood are just so much more... angry. I don't know. They're more angsty than the elves at Rivendell, that's for sure.
I was freaking out a little bit when Lee Pace showed up. That was another great scene. Oh,
Lee Pace did a wonderful job.
Oh my gosh.
He did a wonderful job.
And I'd really like to point out that Legolas's hair, the way it's braided, someone else had to braid it for him.
Yeah, it tickles her pink to think that elves sit there braiding each other's hair, but then again, I'm sure dwarves do too. Dwarves have braids.
Well, when you watch the rest of the movie and then you think about them having to sit down and brush their hair and do their hair together, it's kind of really funny.
It is. It's great, but that's, I don't know. Everything leading up to it was great. Spiders were great. Mirkwood was great. Everything was great. And then I think the part that shined the most was everything that had to do with from the time they leave Lake Town to go into the mountain to the very end of the movie. Everything from there was good, and it really, really held my attention. Anytime Smaug was on the screen, my attention was directed, and that's partially obviously because of Benedict Cumberbatch. You all know I'm a huge Cumber babe, but yeah, he did an amazing job.
Ben's voice was great,
and the motion capture,
and the motion capture,
and the motion capture.
But I
can't forget that.
I think people are forgetting about the scene with Bilbo and Smaug when Bilbo first goes in there. That's like a really great scene. It's really funny. And
the flattery scene.
Martin is so great when he's running around and he's trying not to wake up Smaug. It's so great.
Because you can just see on his face just A++ acting from Martin. You can see every move he makes. Just, please don't. And it's that feeling... It's that feeling when you're going to the kitchen to get something to eat, but it's late at night, and you don't want to wake your parents up because you don't want them to come out and be like, what are you doing? You're going to get fat. So it's like, I understood the trauma of, I gotta be really quiet.
I kind of want to see the non-edited version of that, where it's just Martin running around and Ben crouching around growling.
Well,
that'd be pretty funny.
I mean, obviously they didn't get to do their scenes together, but Ben said that Martin had already done his scenes and he was just feeding off of his performance to do it. So, I don't know. I thought that was the highlight of the movie for me, but I love dragons. So, but okay, so some stuff that we did, obviously we have nitpicky things. As a whole, we love the movie, but we are going to nitpick just a bit, so...
The movie felt really choppy. Like, it just felt like... oh, this person's running around over here, this person, and you're just like, wait, I don't really get... The storyline just wasn't as good as the first movie. The first movie was kind of up and down slope, but it stayed in a line.
It was set up. The first movie was definitely set up, and I think a lot of people
this one was kind of like, oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and it just goes all over the place, and it's just a little bit confusing, and it's a little harder to follow.
My least favorite parts of this movie, and as horrible as this is to say, were the Gandalf in Dumbledore storyline that we have severed off into.
Yeah, when Gandalf goes off, it gets really confusing, and if you just walked into the movie just watching the first one and not knowing any Tolkien stuff, you would have been very confused. I was kind of confused, but then I got what was going on with him and Radagast and where they were. It's just, if you didn't know, you would have been very confused and been like, why were they there? What was that? What was the point of that? What annoyed me, a lot of people were criticizing, like, Legolas. He didn't have the character development that he had in Lord of the Rings, and it just really bothered me because, yeah, this is the prequel. He didn't have the character development. He was raised by his father. Of course he's going to have those prejudices.
And he pretty much never left, like, their kingdom. He didn't really, he just knows,
he was
the most he knows about dwarves.
Spoiled prince.
Yeah, he was spoiled brat. So the most he knows about dwarves is whatever his father says, and his father's pretty much like, dwarves! So, I mean, come on, of course he's going to be that way. But, I mean, for the most part, that was my biggest issue. The movie did have some pacing issues, but for the most part, it had to have those pacing issues because we almost never got a breather. They got to Lake Town and things slow down a bit, but that's all right because up until this point, you haven't really had time to breathe. Everything has been so fast-paced, so I didn't mind things slowing down once you got to Lake Town.
What I'd like to see in the next movie is that it ends like the book. I like the divergence, what they did in the middle, that it's not exactly following the storyline. I understand why they did, I understand what they're doing, but it has to end the way the book ends, or it's just going to upset a lot of people. It's going to upset me, and it needs to end the way it ends. I could see them wanting to change it, but they really shouldn't.
And so far we've done a really good job following the book, despite those creative inputs by Peter Jackson and everybody involved. So, I mean, I have complete faith in the next one, and then where they cut it off was kind of horrible.
The screen went black, and she was the first to say no, and then I realized it wasn't going to come back on, and I just...
Yeah, the screen goes black, and everybody's kind of silent.
Everybody else was silent, and we were the first ones to be like, no, you can't do this.
I literally go, no, you can't do that. You can't stop it there. And yeah, they stopped it there.
The theater we went to, the people there, I mean, they were Tolkien fans, obviously, but they just weren't...
They weren't into it
excited,
as we
and
were.
it was just... We had to cover our mouths not to scream and disrupt other people, and we were going to do that anyway. But it was so quiet in the theater. No one was.
Yeah, we try to be respectful
excited.
all the time. Don't ever go to the movies unless you are with a crowd that is 100% with you, and for being like, yeah, cheering. We try to be really respectful in theaters. But
the
this
theater
was like,
we went to before. People got the jokes. People got the little things. People got the other references to other things.
It was just a great crowd.
There was only like one or two scenes where everybody, oh yeah, that's funny, and they all laughed. But other times you'd be laughing and nobody else was laughing.
And we had a
so
full
you felt
theater,
awkward.
so I mean, I was a little bit disappointed with the outcome of the initial fans, but it did nothing to ruin the actual movie for me because it didn't stop me from enjoying it 100%. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you do. It's really good, and it is a middle movie, so don't go in expecting to get a complete recap of the previous movie and then a completion, because this is a middle movie, so you will have to wait till next year to get the completion of The Hobbit. So, all in all, that's it. I hope it remains spoiler-free and we didn't ruin anything for you guys if you haven't seen it yet. And if you have, we're just going to have an extra bit that is going to be spoiler talk. But as for right now, yeah, that's The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug. We really recommend it, and we hope you'll go see it. So, bye.